Do you feel that in a time when we are more connected than ever, we are drifting away from real human connection, especially to ourselves? I do. Hi, I'm Leticia Latino, and I want to invite you to join me and my very inspiring guests in exploring ways to reconnect to your essence, to your definite purpose, to what makes you tick. Are you ready? Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to a very, very special of Back to Basics podcast. This is going to be my 200th episode, and I have an incredible guest with me today. For more than 40 years, Lynne has been a recognized global visionary committed to alleviating poverty and hunger and supporting social justice and environmental sustainability. From her work with Mother Teresa in Calcutta to the refugee camps in Ethiopia and the threatened rainforest of the Amazon, Lynne's on-the-ground work has brought her a deep understanding of the social tapestry of the world. The compelling stories and insights gained from her experiences inspired Lynne to write her best-selling, award-winning book, The Soul of Money: Transforming Your Relationship with Money and Life. She's also the founder of the Soul of Money Institute and has enlightened people in over 50 countries in board retreats, workshops, keynote presentations, and one-on-one coaching in the arena of fundraising with integrity, conscious philanthropy, strategic visioning, and cultivating a healthy relationship with money. And there's so much I'm leaving out of this, but hello, Lynne, and welcome to Back to Basics.
Well, thank you for having me, Leticia. Wonderful to be here.
Oh, I'm so excited. There's so much, I want to talk to you about. When I was doing all the research on you, of course, I knew about you, and I'm a big Sounds True fan. So I know you have some powerful meditations and content there. But, I was saying, oh my God, how can one do all these incredible things? It's not just work, it's work that matters. And that is so inspirational. And I'm so humbled that you said yes to this interview.
Well, my pleasure. Absolutely.
Well, and one of my goals with this podcast when I'm visionary is how do we lead from a back to basics place, what I call the back to basics place, and how do we get there? And everybody has a journey. And so I'm always very curious to know the origin story. Like, who were you as a young child? Were you dreaming about helping the world and making such an amazing difference in the world? I mean, what was those early years like, and what were you passionate about?
Well, I think probably every child, when you find out that there's people in other parts of the world or other parts of your community that are hungry, or you see a homeless person, your heart goes out to them right away. So I think that's natural. I think that's human. So I wasn't in any way different than you or any of the people listening as a child, just wondering why in the world would we have hunger? Why would there be children without water and food? Why would there be people without houses? What's wrong? And then, thinking as a little one, gosh, maybe when I grow up, I can fix that. So like everybody else, I've had those memories when I think about my childhood. And then when I was an adolescent, my father died very suddenly of a heart attack in the middle of the night in his sleep. And it wasn't expected. He was 50 years old. He was robust and healthy, and he was a musician, a very well-known band leader. And when he died, it catapulted me. First of all, it caused enormous grief for our whole family and confusion. He was a famous man, so my mother was overwhelmed and sent her 4 children, one of which was me, the third in the 4, all of us off to be with friends, because she was just like, oh my God, I was asleep in my bed, my mom next to my dad. She woke up the next morning and he was dead, and just a huge shock. She was 46.
Oh my God, I cannot even imagine.
So we were sort of farmed out, and I was farmed out to a friend. But what I really did to find a place where I could heal or grieve and be really, really sad and cry and be held was with my Sunday school teacher, a woman named Sister Benjamin. And she was just such a beautiful soul. And I didn't go to Catholic school, even though we were Catholic, but I loved Sister Benjamin. And I went to Sunday school every Sunday. And when my father died, I didn't live with her or anything. I lived with another family while my mother was trying to sort things out. But I went to her often. I don't really know how much, but I just remember her holding me, letting me cry, telling me how important it was to go through the sadness, to not try to push it away, to talk about it. She was just incredible. She was an angel.
Mm.
And at that time, because she was so special to me and helped me get through that, I thought, well, I should be a nun. And I also thought that because as a child, you sometimes think when something goes wrong that it's your fault, even though he had a heart attack, didn't have anything to do with me. But I thought, maybe I did something wrong, that God would take my father away. So I started to have a very deep spiritual, it was religious then, but now I realize it was a spiritual inner life. And that really expanded my capacity to be of service to the world. And when later on, fast forward a few years, I got involved in the EST training with Werner Erhard, and I started studying or listening to Buckminster Fuller, the great architect, engineer, and grandfather of the future in the 20th century. And he said, every human being, every little individual can make a difference with their life that has an impact on all humanity. When I heard that, I thought, oh, that's me. I'm going to do that. So I was lucky enough to be in the right place at the right time when the Hunger Project was created. And I had the great privilege of working on ending world hunger, which was, as you can imagine, life-changing, life-altering, life-fulfilling, and a deepening of the soul. So that's my fast forward.
Oh my God. Yeah. I'm like, oh my God, this is so rich, and it has so much wisdom, even in you sharing your life journey, because obviously, I think it's a fact that we have to go through deeply traumatic events, unfortunately, to reach into who we are, like really connect to that essence. And it would be great if we didn't have to, but it's, every interview, every person in my whole personal life, it's like you have to go and experience extreme sorrow or loss or tragedy in some shape or form to really put things into perspective also about what life is. And I'm sorry it was through the loss of your dad. And my husband is a musician, as you can see. So I can see. Yes, so I can definitely, feel that was obviously an experience that marked your life. And so, but would you say that any of that had to do, you wanted to be a nun, then you eventually went for a career? Like, how did the whole career you picked pan into what you eventually are doing today? That's something obviously that I'm curious about, because I feel a lot of us in life kind of get stuck into, well, but I wanted to do this, but I'm doing that. And they think they cannot change. They cannot really reinvent themselves. But what do you have to say about that?
Well, I really thought I would be a mom with children and a, wonderful husband. And that was kind of what I thought was going to happen. And then I went to Stanford University and I met my husband, Bill, there. And we got married and started having kids, almost right away. And I became a little shut down then, because he started to make money that was more than we needed, and that was the goal, of course. As a young MBA, we went to business school, and then he got out. He got a nice job, and we had 3 little kids. And I was kind of chasing the keeping up with the Joneses thing, trying to look a certain way and wear the right clothes and collect the right things and have the right stuff in my house and drive the right car. I was all about the exterior world, and comparing myself to other women and young women. And I got kind of entrapped in that, keeping up with the Joneses, trying to be a yuppie kind of cool person, until I took the EST training. So that was another huge thing for me. The death of my father, then the EST training, which now is the landmark forum, which I highly, highly recommend to people. But its predecessor was the EST training. And that just kind of woke me up to realize that I could make a difference with my life, that I really could, that was not a pipe dream, that was a reality. And then I got to listened to Buckminster Fuller, the great Buckminster Fuller, and he had devoted his life to see if one little individual could make a difference that would impact all humanity. And he was actually 80 years old when I heard him speak, and his life had been a huge contribution to the world. He invented the geodesic dome. He invented an electric car in 1949. He was way ahead of his time. He was called the grandfather of the future. And he super inspired me. Maybe I can make a difference. I'm this mom, this wife with 3 kids doing some substitute teaching. But I just got kind of shot out of a cannon after that event and after the EST training, and realized, no, I can really make a difference. I don't have to be hampered by anything. It's just my own thoughts. So the Hunger Project then was born. Werner Erhard and Buckminster Fuller and other people, but particularly those two, had a meeting that generated this idea, this radical idea to make the end of world hunger an idea whose time has come. And that was in 1977. And when I heard that, that just swept me off my feet. I thought, I'm going to do that. I'm going to be part of this. I'm going to make a contribution to ending world hunger. And I got deeply, deeply, deeply engaged with the Hunger Project and kind of brought my whole family along rather than, being separate from them, which I was in the beginning. Then I realized, no, this is all of us. We all want to get involved in this. And so that took me to India, Ethiopia, Bangladesh, all over the world. And then, trying to manage being a mom and a wife that I was before and do all of that. And then I just kind of included everybody. I got my husband involved, got my kids involved, I got all our friends involved. And suddenly everything was about, we can all take a stand, make a commitment, be people who are on this planet working to end world hunger. And the Hunger Project still is, a taproot for me because it's about the transformation of the condition of life, knowing that we, each one of us, have the opportunity to take responsibility for the whole unfolding of the human journey. Rather than be at the effect of it, we can create it. We can co-create what wants to happen, the world we want. So that was huge for me. And so I became very, very, very involved in the Hunger Project, and it taught me so much to be on the ground in Ethiopia trying to make things happen, working with women in Senegal around a dry well, being in Bangladesh during the tsunami and the floods, being in India, in the slums of India, and working with people, especially women who were having more children than they could handle or even wanted, and seeing the humanity and the structures and systems that we have in place that force people into conditions of poverty and hunger, and begin to do what I could to dismantle those things and uplift the people who were caught in those circumstances.
I can see why you brought everybody in, because I hear you talk and I'm like, I want I want to be part. You're so inspirational. It was going to be, as I heard you talk, I was going to ask you, was your family involved? Because I hear a lot of people that go through similar processes and they feel that it's almost like a solo journey because the people that surround them are not with them on that process, and they feel like they have to kind of make a compromise to keep moving forward into that calling, but not being able to bring the people that they love, on board. But it's obviously not the case for you, because you are an influencer. You really can ignite fire, and I think that's really a blessing.
Well, in the first few years, I was leaving my family to do these things. I had a wonderful nanny. My husband was starting to make some significant financial resources, so I could have a nanny, and I did. And my wonderful nanny, Tootie, she was with us for 25 years, so she really helped me raise the kids. But it wasn't the beginning that I was doing this over here, and my husband was doing his business, and then there were the kids and the nanny, and we would both come back as much as we could. But it was not, it wasn't harmonious. It was struggle. I was always where if I would be in a meeting in Ethiopia with the government, I would remember it was snack day in second grade, and did the nanny send the snacks? I'd be like, or if I was at home, I would be thinking about the meeting in Ethiopia that I had to miss because I was going to Spring Sing for my daughter. So I was I was living a divided life until until I had a revelation, I would say. It was really out of a breakdown. I was just a wreck. I was crying all the time. I was never with the kids enough. I was never with my job enough. I was always on a plane. I would miss a plane, and then I would miss the soccer championship. And then I would be at the soccer championship, but I would miss a big important thing at the UN. Or, I was always not fully where I was, if I can put, I was in I was a divided self. And so I had a meeting with my children and my husband, Bill. And we sat on the floor of the family room. I think you can all imagine this in your own home. And I started to cry. And I said, I just need to tell all of you, I don't think I can stop. I'm totally obsessed. But more than obsessed, I'm deeply and profoundly committed to ending world hunger. And I can feel that I have a role to play. And I struggle so much that I'm away so much and I miss things and I'm not there for you. But then when I'm here for you, I'm worrying about all of that. And I need to just apologize, ask for your support, your forgiveness, and let you know I don't think I can stop. And it was the most, I'm all crying and everybody was crying. It was very moving and very cathartic. And then my daughter, who's the middle child of our three, she's kind of our comedian. She was probably 8. She said this thing. She said, Mom, if you can end world hunger, we don't want you taking us to the orthodontist. Someone else can do that. Tootie can do that. We're proud of you, Mom. And we all started laughing when she said the orthodontist. And then we all started laughing. And then my sons, they were like 10 and 6. Mom, we have the best life. We've got Ethiopians staying in the guest room. We have astronauts for dinner. We've got, when we go away for a spring break, most people, our friends, they go to Aspen. We go to Micronesia with you. I mean, what could be? That's so cool. We have the coolest life. And they actually really just released me of all my guilt and my shame. And I was never there. And those poor kids. And they said, no, we're having a blast.
Oh, wow.
And they gave me their permission, their love, their validation, their affirmation, my husband too. And from then on, I was 100% where I was when I was there, including when I was with them. Instead of being divided all the time, I would be 100% at the UN. Then I would come home. I stopped missing planes. I stopped trying to be 10,000 places at once. I really started to create my life in a way that I prioritize things and made sure that there's things I'm going to miss, but there's things I'm not going to miss. And then I would be honest about it instead of trying to do everything. So that was a really big turning point as a mom, as a wife, as a woman, as what I call myself now, a pro-activist, not an activist against, but an activist for. And that really was a defining moment. Wow.
Well, I thank you for sharing all that, because it was, as Oprah would say, which of course I'm even like, oh my God, I'm going to have the first interview, I think, that I have with somebody that was interviewed by Oprah, but an aha moment, because that resonates, I know, with me particularly, but with a lot of people I know, and mothers especially, that we have these high standards of what we want to be, and we want to be excellent at everything we do, and we feel this constant, lack of something that it's hard to carry. And so the fact that you say I was honest about it, that I think is where a lot of us fail. Like, you want to make it good. We are striving to make it okay, but it's not about making it okay. It's about explaining what we're doing and really getting the buy-in from your family. So when your kids saw what you're doing and the impact it has, of course they were all in. And that's a great strategy. I'm personally going to use it. And I think that when the kids are growing, are older a little bit, I understand when my kids were babies, I suffer a lot, because you could not explain a baby, mommy, is doing something important. Now you can, my little one is almost 8 and a 12-year-old, and they can get that, oh, mommy's doing important stuff. And but I struggle because when I talk to very successful women that maybe don't have kids, they don't see that part of the struggle that well.
Yeah. No.
Than someone that has to juggle that important ball of life. So I thank you for sharing it so candidly with us.
Well, I actually, my heart goes out to especially single moms. And there's so many of them now who have full-time jobs and full-time children, and sometimes way more children than they kind of thought they were going to have. And they have no financial resources, and they don't have a nanny, and they don't have help. So what I said is my story, but I know my heart really does go out to people who are managing a career and motherhood, no matter what their financial circumstances, but a special bow to the women who have very little financial help, or not enough financial resources to get much help. And if their mother doesn't live nearby or she's passed away, and they're trying to figure out how to raise their kids and put food on the table and pay their rent and buy the school, the new tennies. It's just staggering to me what women do. Just staggering, stunning, staggering, awesome. And I just want to say, I don't have a solution. But for me, being honest and truthful with my kids made a huge difference. And there were still times where I was heartbroken because I missed something. I still look back and, oh, God damn, I'm so sorry I didn't make the da-da-da-da. Mm-hmm. Wish I'd been there. That was such a high point for my son or my daughter or my other son. But at the same time, if we're true to ourselves, that sets a model for our children, no matter what that looks like. And that's a teaching of its own. So I really appreciate it. And I just wanted to shout out to single moms, or just all moms, but particularly single moms and career moms, for the amazing, amazing stuff we do that nobody can see, nobody almost ever acknowledges you for. You have to do it, or, you can't not do it. You don't have a choice. And you do it. Thank God. And bless the mothers of this world.
Well, I'm shouting out with you because I absolutely agree. So, you've done so many things, of course, that it's hard to pick one. But the one that I think is very important is also the foundation that you created, the Soul of Money.
Yes.
And it's such a great name. I love it, by the way, because when you think about it, the money must have soul at some point, and you talk about a lot of the money culture, and this is something that you also are raising awareness, and it's so, I think, important, because the more and more you hear stories like you, where people that have everything, they still feel that something's missing. We were honored here also to have Melissa Bernstein, founder of Melissa and Dog Toy Empire. And, people, she makes toys, she designs toys for a living, perfect family, husband. And she shared, I wasn't happy. And she's very open about it. And so, and it's because a lot of it is that intensity that money brings into our life and that catching up. So would you share what, the essence behind founding that organization and the work you're doing there?
Well, it's an institute called the Soul of Money Institute, and it's based on a book I wrote called The Soul of Money. And actually, the way I'd like to talk about it is, I don't know if money has a soul, but we do. Mm-hmm. And we've separated our soul from our money. Most people are anxious, upset, worried, and feel wrong and bad in their relationship with money. And I can tell you that it seems like the people that would feel wrong and bad and anxious and upset and frantic in their relationship with money would be just the people who don't have enough, which is people who are on the lower end of the, economic spectrum. But the truth is, and I can tell you personally, it goes all the way through the culture to the billionaires, who I actually also have a chance of great opportunity and privilege of working with some of our global billionaires. They too, if you can imagine, thinking you don't have enough. Really, come on. But they think that too, because it's not about the amount, it's a mindset. And that's what the Soul of Money Institute addresses. We live in a unconscious, unexamined mindset, which a mindset is before thinking, before deliberation. It's from whence you see the world, almost like a lens you're looking through to see the world. a lens of scarcity. And that lens of scarcity is a way of seeing the world where everything you look at, it's not enough. I didn't get enough sleep. I'm not tall enough. I'm not thin enough. I'm not smart enough. There isn't enough square feet in my house. We don't have enough market share. We don't have enough sex. We don't have enough love. I don't have enough this. We don't have enough that. They don't have enough of this. We don't have enough of that. I didn't get enough done today. I don't have enough time. It's there's not enough frame for almost everything. And when you live in that frame, which almost everybody does, because that's the culture we live in, it's the mindset of scarcity we live in, there's never enough. And you have to get more. And you're desperate to get more. And even global billionaires, I mean, it just sounds ridiculous, doesn't it? But they think they've got to have another plane, or they've got to have a bigger house, or they've got to have a helicopter to get to their island. And they've got to have a bigger island because the helicopter pad is too small. I mean, it's just, it never stops. It goes forever. And it doesn't matter where you are on this grand continuum that goes now, from people who have almost nothing to people who have, half of the wealth of the world. Everybody has a mindset or was born into the culture that we live in, the culture of scarcity. There's not enough to go around and you have to have more. So there's 3 toxic myths I write about in my book, The Soul of Money. First toxic myth is there's not enough, which I'm calling a toxic lie. The second is more is better, which I'm calling a toxic lie. And the third is that's just the way that it is, which I'm calling a toxic lie. And I'm calling those 3 things toxic lie from the mindset, unconscious, unexamined mindset way of looking at the world. I do know very intimately there are people who do not have enough food. There's people who don't have access to water. There's people who don't have enough employment. There's a lot of people around this planet like that. I've worked with them. I know that very intimately. I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about us, people like us, probably people listening to this podcast, who live in the affluent world, but see the world as if there's never enough for them. And it starts to be a deficit relationship with yourself. So it's not just there's not enough, it's not enough, we don't have enough. It's I am not enough. I am not enough. So the Soul of Money Institute works on this unconscious, unexamined mindset to clear it away. It doesn't go away forever because it's the culture we live in. It's the culture we live in, then we personalize it and think it's our fault. But actually, you can disaggregate, disengage, disentangle yourself from that culture and think about how the universe meets you with exactly what you need over and over and over again, sometimes miraculously, sometimes in ways that you don't want, like a bankruptcy or a divorce, but you get exactly what you need and want from this universe. And that is the context that I recommend as the radical surprising truth, the context of sufficiency. We don't have not what we need, we have what we need. And sometimes it's something like a pandemic to disrupt the way we're living in a way that we rethink, re-see, and redesign our lives. Sometimes it's something like the climate crisis, which you could say is not happening to us. It may be happening for us. It may be the feedback, the strong, uncompromising feedback that's destructive and harmful, yes, and scary. But it needs to be that strong for us to change course, for us to transform the direction we're headed. So if you hold that life is giving you exactly what you need, rather than you have to have more, you have to have more, and you live in lack, you can live in a space of gratitude and fulfillment all the time, no matter how much you have or don't have. It's not about that. It's about your relationship with money, your relationship with life. So that's the Soul of Money book and message and institute.
Very powerful. And of course, I'll share all the links to your page and where people can get the book and all the amazing work you're doing. And, everything you said, it's so true. And I think people don't realize this, like this is happening. So if you were to give somebody one actionable advice in terms of how do I get stuck from that mentality? Like, I know I do it. Is that the practice of gratitude? What would be like one small step that everybody could take?
Well, I have to tell them three. I'm sorry. One is to buy the Soul of Money book, which will
Of
help
course.
you.
Yes,
And
absolutely.
second, number two is to buy Living a Committed Life, the book I just finished, which will really help you no matter where you are on the economic spectrum or the spectrum of life. Living a Committed Life will help you step into a life of greater meaning and purpose. But then the answer to your question really is, yes, gratitude is a huge game changer. It's so simple, we don't even think that it could possibly work, but it does. If you actually begin to work the muscle, exercise the muscle of gratitude, there's a muscle, there's rivulets in the brain where no matter what you're doing, you can see the beauty in it. No matter what transpires, what circumstances befall you, you can see the beauty, the gratefulness in there, the great fullness of life, which is the source of the word gratefulness. And to have that practice, that frame, you know, how grateful I am to be talking to you at this moment. I didn't even know you existed. And now here we are in this beautiful conversation, and hopefully it's benefiting people. You know, to wake up in the morning grateful for even 2 hours of sleep, the sweet territory of sleep. How delicious to even have 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 hours, whatever you got. Be grateful for it rather than grumbling that you didn't get enough sleep. Rather than looking at the clock and thinking, I don't have enough time, refuse to rush and cherish. If it's 15 minutes, great. If it's 27 minutes, fabulous. If it's 2 hours, awesome. But cherish that time you have to start your day. Being grateful, cherishing, making a difference with what you have, which is the principle of sufficiency. What you appreciate will appreciate in the nourishment of your appreciation. So to live in gratitude and appreciation and shift the conversation in your head from, I don't have enough, there's not enough, it's not enough, we're going to be in terrible shape, oh my God, the world's going to hell in a handbasket, to, I am so grateful to be alive at a time when things are so exciting. I am so grateful to be healthy and well so that I can address myself to the problems of the day. I am so blessed that I woke up this morning with a mission and a vision to do something useful today with my life. I am so grateful to have work that means something and that I get compensated for. Oh my God, etc. And the practice of gratitude, grateful living, which is the whole way of thinking, is totally and completely transformational, and it's free.
Well, thank you for that nugget of wisdom. I know I could talk forever with you. I know that we have limited time. So I want to ask you, is there any other exciting, I mean, you have so much going on, exciting initiatives. I know you have a seminar coming up called Fundraiser from the Heart, which I think is fantastic. The subject, anything else, or even that you want to share that's exciting you these days?
Well, I'll talk about that because I would love for people to participate in fundraising from the heart. I've been fundraising all my life since I was 5 years old, and I love asking people for money for the things I care about. I love fundraising. Not only do I not resist it, I adore it because I think it's sacred work, moving money away from fear and towards love. I think that's what it is, no matter what you're raising money for. So I teach fundraising from the heart, which is an all-day course on December 8th. It'll be live online. You can interact with me and my colleague, Sarah Vetter. It's not expensive. We make it super affordable and learn about fundraising so that you're effective and so you love it rather than resist it. So that's one thing on December 8th. And then on November 29th, I'm not sure when this is going to run.
Yeah, probably later than that, but feel free to keep sharing. That's fine.
On November 29th, I'll be doing a live event with my dear friend Jack Canfield, who's the number one best-selling author of the Chicken Soup for the Soul series. And he really pushed me to write this new book, Living a Committed Life. And he and I will be talking about how important it is now to step up and to step into life, not your own life only, but a life and a purpose larger than yourself. And so my book, Living a Committed Life, there'll be book events, there'll be podcasts like this for probably a year. If you go to my website, Lynne Twist, or actually just you can type in my name, or you can go to soulofmoney.org. You'll learn about all the things that are going on if you kind of root around in there. And then I will put in another word for the Pachamama Alliance. I work with indigenous peoples of the rainforest in the Amazon. And we also do really extraordinary online programs all over the world. So go to pachamama.org and be inspired.
Love that. Well, I'm inspired. I also I knew this was going to be great, but it's just been, I'm grateful for this interview, grateful for everything you do. Your humility. I mean, anybody that listens to you and knows and matches the work you've done, the people you've met, and how, available you are, how vulnerable, I really think that's what it counts. It's being your authentic. When people say be your authentic self, like now you're going to be one of the examples that would pop into my life, in my mind, because that's really how I felt this conversation went. So I really thank you for that. And the last question I make everybody is an easy one to answer. Besides everything you share, I always ask people, what makes you tick? Is there anything else that you haven't shared, other than I can guess a few more hours of sleep would be one thing that makes you tick, that is your go-to thing to do when you're feeling a little bit down or disconnected to your soul?
I go outside. I live near a forest called the Presidio, and I have a tree that's my friend, a mother tree. If you read anything from Suzanne Simard, she wrote The Mother Tree, Finding the Mother Tree. And I feel so grateful to the natural world, the sky, the sunrise, the sunset. It's all a miracle. It happens every day, but when you actually witness it or take time to pay attention to it, it's a miracle. When you look at a tree, a really big, beautiful mother tree, there's 1,000 species living in that tree. The roots go deep into the ground, or they go, if they're on top of the ground, like in the rainforest, they go far. The tree has been alive way longer than me, the one I go to. It's seen incredible things, I'm sure. And trees have a network of wisdom that they connect with underground in the mycorrhizal part of the earth. And they're becoming some of my dearest and closest friends and advisors. So that's what I do, and it works.
I love that. I love the part where you say friends and advisors. So next time I look at a tree, I'm going to ask for some advice. Well, thank you so much, Lynne. It's an honor. Thank you for being my episode 200. I'm so happy that it was you. And I hope that everybody enjoyed it as much as I have. And thank you all for tuning in for all this time. And until the next time, take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
You've been listening to Back to Basics. You can follow us on Instagram and Facebook. If you haven't yet, subscribe, rate, and review this podcast on Apple Podcast or any of your favorite streaming platforms. This is the best gift you can give us. Join me next week for another Back to Basics conversation. And if you want to find out about other exciting things I'm working on, visit leticialatino.com. Thank you, and until the next time.